Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is my fun-sized co-host, Josh Finney.
Jesus Christ. I am a very large man. I mean, I am fun-sized for some people, I guess.
Oh, man.
I'm like I'm like the teddy bear from Toy Story 3, but not evil.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
I do occasionally smell like strawberries.
For reference, Josh and I just had a whole conversation for about an hour, and we ended on fun-sized people. So,
do not aggregate.
Yeah, do not aggregate. How's your week? How's your week been, Josh?
It's been hectic. Not as hectic as yours, but it has been a hectic couple of weeks around here.
Yeah,
trying to get things sorted out. My partner is probably getting a promotion at work soon, so that's good news, but it has made things a little chaotic around here, which is fine. We had a lot of rain come through this week, which we desperately needed for like a month and a half.
Nice.
That's very nice, but it means everything gets really slick around here. So it caused some minor chaos, and she works at a hospital, so that's fun for her. Oh boy, the stories I could tell you about some of the patients she's had the last 2 weeks. Yeah, no, it's been good though. I mean, just busy things. So
yeah.
Other than that, not a whole lot. Just trying to relax. Playing a lot of Star Wars Outlaws right now.
Yeah, how you enjoying it?
I actually really enjoy it once you get past like the opening couple of hours.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I think once you start upgrading your abilities, especially your stealth capabilities, the game gets drastically better.
Yeah.
I just hate that so many of the early stealth sections, it's like, do not get caught, so you can't shoot anyone. Your stun takes forever to replenish, which that doesn't ever change.
Yeah.
It's really aggravating at the beginning because I very much like the run and gun things.
Yeah.
Get in, get out, and run. I think Jeff Grubb actually had a really great take on this when he was tweeting about it last week. He says, he's like, it's a solid 7, or it's like 7.5, 8-ish for me. He says, is it the greatest thing I've ever played? No, but it reminds me really fondly of all the Star Wars games we had when we were growing up. That like weren't amazing, but we loved them just because we got to play in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, he cited Shadows of the Empire, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and I forget what other one he cited. He cited another one that came out in those like early 2000s that was not good at all. Phantom Menace on PS1.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I agree with that because I mean, for every KOTOR that we got something like Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Not the Clone Wars animated series, the Clone Wars video game from 2002 that was very weird and had like a former Jedi spirit like possessing Anakin Skywalker a month after the Battle of Geonosis. It was really weird. Really fun tank gameplay though, I'll tell you that. There were parts of it that were really enjoyable. As a big expanded universe fan, I liked a lot of it. But I think it's like the perfect game to play when it's $40. Like if you're on the fence about it, I think it's going to be a really good $40 game. It does not reach the highs of something like Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, which, I mean, let's be honest, are 2 of the 5 best Star Wars games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 games are KOTOR games and Rogue Squadron 2. So that's kind of elite company to get in. But this would crack my top 10 of Star Wars games pretty easily. It's fun. I love Kay. Kay's a great new character. Nyx is instantly one of the best video game sidekicks of all time.
Better than BD1?
Ooh, that's a toughie. Because see, here's the deal with Nyx. I love that there's a mini game with him that you can play whenever you find street food vendors. You can share a meal with Nyx, but those meals you can set as treats in your inventory, and they give him special abilities. And I really like that. One of them allows him to jump down and kick grenades away from you, which is really cool.
That seems very useful.
Oh yeah, they're all useful. It's just that's the one that I've had equipped and haven't taken off yet. But I've really enjoyed that. There's a couple things the game does that I wish it didn't do, namely going to Tatooine again. I'm fucking tired of going to Tatooine on everything.
Yeah, but how are you going to get your pre-order hut quests?
So I will say that this is the game where it makes sense, though. Like, for you to go to Tatooine. As tired of it as I am, it makes more sense to go here than like in a Rogue Squadron game. Um, Getting to go into Jabba's palace is kind of cool. Working for the Hutts is cool. Like the Hutt cartel is one of the 4 factions in the game. I'm ready to risk it all for Crimson Dawn and Dollar Tree Amelia Clark. I'll tell you that. I'm ready to risk it all.
Dollar Tree Amelia Clark, is she in it?
Yeah. Well, Kira's in it. The person who voices her sounds like Amelia Clark, but it is not Amelia Clark. That would have been a lot of money. And as always, fuck the Pikes. Yeah. But I have really I enjoy how it has nods to the High Republic. It has ties to the prequel trilogy, to the sequel trilogy, to the original trilogy. Like, you go to one of the planets from Episode 9, which I actually thought was kind of a cool twist. Kijimi, you go there. The game starts on Canto Bight from Episode 8. Like, the Fathier racing is throughout the galaxy. Nice. Sabacc is maybe the best mini game in a game since Gwent.
Ooh.
Although I will say I really, really fucking loved Queen's Gambit from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna have to have like a mini game of the year section at the end of this year, because those two are like neck and neck for my favorite game ever. Like, the Sabacc questline eventually involves you having to play Sabacc against Lando Calrissian. Which is cool. Like, it ties in really nicely. I wish it wasn't in the original trilogy era, but it makes sense why it is. They clearly were like, hey, if we're going to have you be a scoundrel, you're going to have to interact with Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. For every quest that I've rolled my eyes at, or every stealth section that I hate, I have found an equal quest where I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I'm exploring things that I wish I could explore in other games. Although I just can't help but feel that every one of those quests that I like would be that much better if you were playing as Cal Kestis. So that is the only bummer of it. But I do think that the cast is really well done. I really love I've grown to love the characters, especially ND5, who is the big droid on the cover that you see. I've grown to really love him too. Just a great cast of characters all around. I've gotten about 18 hours in, I think. I've been playing for about 2 weeks now. Really, really enjoying it, though. Can't wait to finish it. Hopefully going to be finishing it here soon, so I can do the Persona DLC, and then it's Metaphor time. Metaphor and Zelda time.
Metaphor and Zelda time, yes.
Which, Corey, you just got back from PAX West.
I did.
Out in Seattle. Did you see any games there that our viewers might be interested in?
Oh God, I saw so many. Josh, I saw so many.
Give me your top 5. Give me your top 5 games that you got to either see or that you're excited for coming out of there that you can talk about.
Okay, I did see 2 things that I am not allowed to talk about, which we'll talk later.
I really hope I did not accidentally spoil one last week.
What? I don't even remember.
From Capcom.
Capcom. No.
Okay,
none
good.
of them are Capcom games.
Good. Because I was very excited about that for you, and may have stated it like 3 times on last week's pod.
Yeah. By the way, everybody, Monster Hunter Wilds.
It's going to be a must play.
I think we might have Hunter casuals at some point. Games right.
I'm excited. Wilds looks ridiculous.
It's really cool because they didn't have this in the demo, but you can carry 2 weapons this time, and the combat feels more fluid, and it has the kind of like a combat system similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, where how you would break the armor pieces off of the robots, that had a very clear, distinct kind of critical point that you could hit.
The combat gameplay I've seen kind of feels like Horizon meets like Devil May Cry.
It's definitely faster than Worlds, although Worlds may have had a little bit to do with the frame rate and me just playing real early game. But the critical points give you like a nice critical place to do damage, and the movement is much better than in Worlds, in my opinion. It's just a really beautiful, nice, flowing game. This game's going to be, no pun intended, this game's going to be a monster next year. Like it's going to
dominate first half of next year.
It's going to dominate for years to come.
Like this and Avowed are pretty early the ones to watch, I think, for first couple months next year.
Yeah. So I saw that. I saw Echoes of Wisdom, this new Zelda game, where
you play as Zelda.
And so I was really kind of I mean, we watched the trailers, Josh. We kind of know what the gameplay is like. I was really concerned how they were going to apply that to the entire world and how they're going to take that, solve the puzzles however you want, the same way you could in a 3D space. As soon as they drop you in and show you how the mechanics work, it instantly clicked. And made sense, and it feels almost better than it would in the 3D games.
Yeah, what I was seeing is people saying like it was kind of the perfect marriage between like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and like the old handheld Zeldas that we all fell in love with, like Minish Cap, Link's Awakening, things like that.
So that's the thing too, is like I love Link's Awakening, especially the remake that came out a couple years ago.
Big fan.
So it's that art style, but it feels much better. Like they really flesh out the frame rate.
That was a good first pass.
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to get a 2D Zelda, and that's that or like Tunic is the closest I'm going to get, then fine.
Yeah. But this feels much cleaner, much faster paced. It definitely feels better. The writing in it feels a lot. There's a lot of Paper Mario in it. It feels like. Impa is a great character. Spoilers, I guess, but guess what? Impa, you're going to meet a lot of characters that are in Zelda games in this game. And I got to a point where the guy was like, if you go any further, we're going to have to stop you from playing. Because there's apparently a point that Nintendo doesn't want anybody to see yet.
Yeah.
Which I'm imagining it's like the reveal of the world and whatever. But so Zelda was cool. I played Josh. This one's for you, Josh.
Oh.
Yeah. I also teased friend of show Lord Cognito of the Iron Lords with this. Stalker 2, Josh.
Oh, I can't wait.
Stalker 2. Let me tell you, Josh.
Phenomenal.
It was a very clean feeling game. It was very atmospheric, very it felt like I've never played a soccer game, but it felt like if the Metro games were good games.
I like Metro, but Stalker clearly was like the prototype for those games. It's also a lot harder than Metro.
Yeah. I didn't really get to a point where it got super hard, but you definitely feel the tension and feel the kind of like the your resources and stuff like that. You're definitely feeling a lot of angst and
that's the point.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Josh, you're going to be living in this world for a little bit.
I can't wait. And that is a day one Game Pass game, November 20th.
It sure is. I played it with an Xbox controller. I am no doubt playing the PC version there. But that was super cool. I played Yars Rising, which is the new Atari kind of Metroidvania game based on the Atari 2600 Yars Revenge. I played it with James Montagna, the game director, which I've interviewed before on my other podcast. Cool dude, man. What a cool dude. He has so much love for like just games in general.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the last thing was, I played some new Shovel Knight DLC, which was cool, for Dig and
from friends of the show over at Yacht Club Games.
Yes, Yacht Club, and I got to. I did a 23-minute interview with Sean Velasco, which was super cool. That was he's the designer for Shovel Knight, so you can check that out. No real like new information in there, but it was still cool to learn about their process and how
They're great. They're great people to
they're
talk to.
they're so cool. Shout out to Celia for making that happen.
Yeah.
God, she's so great. Um, because it was this weird kind of the emails special event whatever thing, and it was cool. It was really cool. I just had a really good time, Josh. Met a lot of cool people. Met a lot of cool creators. Met Greg Miller, which is I think
Yeah. How
it's
was that? You told me you would handle that on the show.
yeah. So I was actually over. We have friends who are making a game, and they had a PAX booth. It's called Corgi's Cozy Hike, which is just like this little
Yeah.
cozy kind of. It feels like Banjo Kazooie with no combat, is what it feels like. Um, and so I went over to say hi to them, just because every time we see them, we go over and say hi. And I like was getting ready to leave, and I see Greg Miller in line to play the game. I'm like, why is he here? And he has his kid with him.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot.
That's actually where I saw it. He was tweeting pictures of Ben playing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, this is like, I'm like, so I went back to the booth after I saw him in line. I'm like, hey, do you know who's about to play your game? And they had no idea who he was. Like, they just had no idea,
Mm-hmm.
which is, whatever. There's
Yeah.
people that don't know people, right? So I I pulled him up on Twitter and show him. I'm like, look how many followers he
He's got
has.
like 1.5 million
Yeah, I'm
followers.
like,
Yeah.
if he's playing your game, he's going to talk about it on his show, and
Yeah.
your game is going to blow up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no question, it's going to blow up if he likes your game. And I think I made them really nervous because they were
I
both
would be.
because like they were both like turned around and started watching him play the game. But I didn't say anything to them then. And then I was over at the PAX Rising kind of indie booth, checking out. There's this game over there, by the way. I forget what it was called, but it's basically Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, essentially.
Okay. Okay.
It looked really cool. So I was like checking that out, and he walks up and stands right beside me. And I'm like, I went through this whole scenario in my head. I'm like, shit, do I say something to him? Do I not? Because he's holding his kid, and I'm like, I don't want, he's clearly holding his kid, and I don't want to like interfere with, family stuff, right? So he was just standing there for a minute or so, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna say hi to him, whatever. So I said, excuse me, Greg, I just want to say, I'm a huge fan. I don't want to take any of your time because you have your son with you, but I just want to tell you that Kind of Funny is huge inspiration for what I've been doing for the last almost decade, and just thanks, whatever. And I turned to walk away, and he grabs my shoulder and turns me around, and he's like, "You don't have to leave. Let's talk for a minute." And he like shook my hand and talked about you know Boss Rush and Tower Casual stuff, and took my business card, and he told me to shoot him an email, and I emailed him, and he emailed me back, and it was a really cool interaction, man. He's like,
Greg is one of the most genuine people you will ever meet.
yeah, it was one of those interactions where you're like, you hear people tell these stories, but usually they're
Mm-hmm.
at like meet and greets where like people have to be on, and or some kind of situation where like they're there to be there and not just there, right? And so
Right.
I was like, he's clearly not supposed to be a Kind of Funny character right now. So like,
No, he was there because his wife's company was
yeah,
promoting some games
yeah,
there.
Pop Agenda had
Propaganda.
had a couple had a couple games there, and I did find out though that he was hosting the Civilization 7 panel the next day.
That
But
was kept secret until then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, um, but it was I don't know if I had a more genuine, nice interaction with anybody, right? Um, just a really nice guy, and just a really genuine interaction, and I found a whole new level of respect for him because I mean, obviously he does like 8 billion different things, and it's hard to be that person all the time. And there he was, just talking to me, holding his son, and you know, it was cool. It was a nice interaction. So
Yeah, I met Greg. It had to have been about 10 years ago now. It was about a year and a half after he founded Kind of Funny,
Yeah.
and I met him at a local at a Buffalo Wild Wings in Dallas. Funny enough, they did a meet and greet after going to some board game convention or something here, and it was just like nothing. But they were trying to grow their audience. I think they may have been contracted legally to go because that's when they were starting to work with Rooster Teeth, and I was like kind of nervous. I was like probably like 20, 22, 23ish at the time, and I really hadn't done any big interviews up to that point in my life. Um, and I was talking to him, and I was just, I kind of the same thing with you, like, oh hey, I was just like, hey, can I just like get a picture with you real quick? And he was like, dude, pull up a chair, like sit down and talk to me. And like I was
Mhm.
walking with a cane at the time,
Yeah.
was really self-conscious about it. I was like, I can't really stand much longer, and that's why I was telling him. I was like, I'm gonna kind of bounce. He had like noticed I was standing off in the corner, and he was like, hey man, why don't you sit down and just talk to me? And we talked a lot. For those of you who don't know, Greg went through a battle with cancer, and so we kind of bonded over. He talked to a little bit about his cancer journey, and I talked about the physical therapy, the really like intense physical therapy I was going through with my legs at the time, and I told him, I was kind of self conscious about walking around with a cane, and we took a picture together as we were finishing up our conversation. And he leaned over to me, and as he was shaking my hand, he said it just loud enough so only I could hear. He was like, "Don't let anybody ever tell you that you're lesser because of this." He's like, "You look baller as fuck walking with a cane, just so you know."
Yeah.
And it is the epitome of meet your heroes. Like
Hmm.
I've had bad interactions with people before that I really look up to,
Hmm.
or that I admire, and like I've gotten a little starstruck talking to people. I've told the stories before. I've had a chance to interview a lot of the guys who did work on Mallrats and in a lot of Kevin Smith movies, and one of those was Michael Rooker, who was cool, but like I totally flubbed my interview with him because I was really really like kind of paranoid. It was the first real big interview I'd ever done in my life, and I kind of botched it.
Hmm.
And he was, kind of rude afterwards, and you could tell he wasn't used to having like amateurs ask him questions and interview him and shit. And I made a joke that didn't land. It's always cool when you have someone like that who's like relatable and like
Hmm.
has not forgotten where they came from. And
Yeah.
that's Greg. Like Greg has never forgotten that he wrote for his college newspaper that he was writing emails to IGN unsolicited asking them to hire him and this and that, and
Hmm.
like he still jokes about it to this day. Some of those reviews that he wrote for like Layer and shit.
Yeah.
Um,
God, Layer. What a.
and how nobody ever let him live down that he gave a perfect score to Uncharted 3, which, is not a perfect 10. It's like a 9 out of 10, but, and then, today we have the exact opposite. People are mad that, AGN doesn't give Astrobot a perfect 10 out of 10, and they haven't even played the game yet.
Right.
So things like that, it was pretty funny to watch. But yeah, he is the absolute epitome of meet your heroes, take the chance.
Hmm.
Just an incredible human being.
Yeah. And it was like the first time because I wasn't prepared to talk to him because like I met Kit and Krista, the ex Nintendo Minute uh producers who went off to do their own thing, and like I had prepared myself to like meet them really because they're just walking around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I met Alex Van Aken, who used to be at Game Informer,
Yeah,
who
he used to
also
do
is,
all their video work.
yeah, also a super nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Another guy who like has never forgotten, that clearly has not forgotten where he came from.
Yeah. I mean, he sat with us in the media room and was like
Him
talking
and
to us.
him and Blessing came up together. For those of you who don't know, they used to podcast together before Blessing went to Kind of Funny, and then Alex got hired at Game Informer
Yeah.
a year or two later, I think.
Yeah.
So
Uh, and you meet these people, but like I wasn't preparing myself to talk to Greg because he had his son with him.
yeah,
And so like it was the first time I felt because like he's Greg Miller and like we're just this small little dinky outlet that's like going there
mm-hmm.
to cover indie games or whatever. And so like I was nervous talking to him. It was the first time, like, I wasn't this nervous talking to Jeff Gardner a couple weeks ago, right?
No.
No. And it was the first time I felt my nerves come out in the words I was saying because I wasn't prepared to talk to him. And it was kind of like, oh, I sound like a moron right now, but also
always meet your heroes.
Yeah. So that was
always meet your heroes.
That was cool. And then, I met a lot of other cool creators too. Like there's a lot of people out there doing cool stuff. I met one of the writers for Helldivers 2, Tristan. He was really nice and was kind of telling us how, they wrote for the game, and we're gonna maybe have them on as a interview at some point. But
yeah,
and a lot of other creators, like a new group of creators that I met there that I had never met before, called Rusty Rupees. And
you got a chance also to meet somebody that we talk about on the show a fair amount. Jeffrey Grubb.
Oh yeah. This is the second time I met Jeff.
Also another really nice guy.
Oh yeah, Jeff's really cool. It was cool because like at PAX East, I met him at the airport, right? And like talked to him for a couple minutes and gave him my card or whatever. But this time he came up to me and said hi to me. And then we ended up sitting next to each other on the airplane and talked about a lot of stuff. Which is cool, which we kind of talked about pre-show, but yeah, Jeff's super cool. Like he's just chill, and I don't know, man. This is we always like read these people's stories online or read their tweets or respond to their tweets, and that's kind of the end of the interaction. And you just kind of like look up to these people, forever, and then you meet them, and they just kind of somehow transform into your peers, right? And
yeah,
it's dude, I can't wait for you to go to PAX East next year with us.
Yeah, the plan right now is for me to go to PAX East next May with you guys. That's, oh my god, can you just imagine how busy that month is going to be?
Yeah, especially if Nintendo comes out.
We potentially have the Switch 2, we have PAX, and then at the beginning of June is Summer Game Fest and the Xbox Summer Showcase. There'll be a State of Play in there, you know that.
Yep.
That's going to be a busy couple of weeks right there. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I really can't wait to go. The only PAX I ever got to go to was the inaugural PAX South, and it was good, but it paled in comparison to every other PAX, obviously.
Yeah. So the last person I met, Josh, which I wanted to interview, but clearly there's a lot of reasons that you may not want to do interviews right now. Josh Kalinsky was there.
Hell yeah.
I met him and said hi to him, and he was super cool. Really nice. I said, hey, I do a Destiny podcast, and we really loved the final shape and everything everybody put into it. And, I just said, sorry to hear about the studio. And he didn't really comment on anything. Right. So obviously, like, what are you going to say anyway? Like, oh yeah, fucking sucks. But, really nice interaction with Josh too. And, it was cool, man. It was really, really cool. Ben Starr was there.
He's at all of these now. He did not run into him at a Starbucks this time, I assume.
No, I saw him from afar at the Final Fantasy booth.
Big surprise.
Yeah. Bree, the voice actress for Aerith, was also there. I think all three of the girls that were there.
While we're talking about super nice people, Ben Starr.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Look, Josh, I'm a straight man, but that guy.
He makes you question yourself.
His sweater is like one size too small. Okay. And it's,
I love Ben. Ben's hysterical. I love him so much.
That's another person I would like to have on a show.
I imagine he went to the Larian party too.
Oh yeah. He was there.
Cause he's a huge Baldur's Gate nut.
Yeah. He was there, and he was there. I think he was there for Warframe, actually.
That's funny.
Because they had Digital Extremes had a small booth there, I think, and he plays the villain in the new patch, I think. But yeah, a lot of dude, I can't wait for you to go next year.
That it's the plan. The plan is for me to go to Boston with y'all. So that's the plan, and I'm trying to figure out how to swing GCX next year.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of travel though. Like, because
that's a lot of travel and a lot of money without me promising a vacation to my partner.
yeah,
But I'm trying to sell her on GCX with the promise of us going to Disney at the same time.
yeah,
Disney and Super Nintendo World. So I'm trying to sell her on that, and I don't know if she's going to go for it, because if we're going to do that, we got to start saving money now.
Yeah,
but
the problem is though, right? Is that
also time off work.
PAX East is in May this year instead of March.
Yeah,
and then GCX is usually in June or July.
They did it in August this year, so
yeah. And then PAX West is also in August, September.
Always over Labor Day weekend.
Like, within 4 months, you have 3 major conventions that are very expensive to get to.
Yeah,
even though our passes are free, which I'm incredibly grateful for.
Yeah, it would not be doable otherwise. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I can swing, how I can try and swing at least 2 of the 3 this next year.
Yeah, it'll probably be 2 of the 3 for me too.
I have not taken a vacation in a couple of years, so other than like a quick weekend away. So I've kind of been stocking up my favors to ask. We were just talking the other night. She wants to go. She's gonna go like skiing with her sister and a couple friends at some point next year. They want to go to Colorado, and I was like, great, because I'm not going to be anywhere near your sister on a vacation. That's not relaxing for me. So my counter argument is like, I'm going to PAX. Bye. Yeah. I'm going to Boston for a few days. I'm going up early enough to catch a game at Fenway, by the way. Because the Rangers play at Fenway Park the week of PAX.
Yeah, I was talking to Stephanie, and I might go up a day early, and we might go to a Red Sox game.
If you do, the Texas Rangers are playing them that week, so
yeah.
We'll get to see 2 very mid baseball teams.
Hey, you know what? I don't care about baseball. I just want to go out and hang out, have a nasty $11 water beer and a slimy hot dog.
If we time this right, it's Dollar Hot Dog Day. So
it's true.
Anyways, we do have some Destiny to get to.
We do. We'll figure out.
Yeah.
Who's going and what the situation is when it's closer. Although flights right now in May, if you want to buy a flight to Boston right now, it's like $100.
I might have to. We're gonna have more to talk about on Xbox Casuals, because Corey also went to Storytime with Phil Spencer.
Actually, I did not get to go to that.
What?
Yeah,
you didn't get to go?
No, they wouldn't let me in. I said, but I have a reservation, and I showed them the email and they're like, oh, no, you can't come in. I'm like, what are you talking about? The email's right here.
I was so excited to talk about that too.
I know, I was.
It was a great interview from what I was seeing.
I know, it was amazing.
Oh,
they wouldn't let me in, Josh.
My heart is crushed. I guess let's talk about Destiny now.
I was probably followed. It's a callback to our pre-show conversation.
Oh God.
Anyways, Destiny, everybody. We're 38 minutes into the show.
Shifting into some. I mean, it's. Let's be honest. It wasn't a super busy week in game or in Schwab. We do have some things.
Sounds like next week's not going to be busy in game either, Josh.
Oh God, I'm so annoyed right now. We'll get to my annoyances with the exotic mission in a minute. I want to address something real fast. We did not put up a question thread this week. And it's not that I don't enjoy getting y'all's questions. I genuinely forgot until I was asked about it this afternoon. So we just kind of rolled without it. But there's been some discussion that, the discussion around Destiny is so negative right now, and like I want to say why that kind of is. And you're not wrong to feel that way, because I feel the same way. This is kind of the first time that I feel like I'm on the negative side of it, though. Because yes, on one hand, I know you're looking at this and you're going, we just got arguably the best expansion in the history of Destiny. Well, we also got basically Season of the Undying 2.0 with it in terms of story. I've been really bummed because of the story progression, and like, yeah, there's been movement in the story, but so much of it is happening through like radio messages and through like dialogue and not through us actually doing things. And it's like, really? This is really kind of aggravating to me. Compound that with this week, the exotic mission was basically the exact same thing as the first week. Just the puzzles for the catalysts or for the intrinsics were different. That was it. It was really the only challenge here, and we got different dialogue too. I fail to see why this needed to be 3 separate missions, and this couldn't just be like all done at once. Biggest exotic mission ever, sure, in terms of like distance that you walk, I guess. I feel like it's unnecessarily big to an extent. And that's just, it's kind of a bummer that, we go through all this to get to a Bass Pro Shop pyramid. And it's just kind of underwhelming. Like, I like the boss arena, but it's like, by the time we get there, like, do I really care is the question. And yeah, Choir of One is an awesome exotic. Don't get me wrong. It's a great exotic. I'm interested to see how it is when it gets brought down to what it's supposed to be. And it's not kind of broken, but for right now, it's good. The auto rifle perks have made it better, obviously. But you see a lot of negativity right now because the season is not good. This is straight up. This is in the bottom half of the seasons that we've gotten, in my opinion. And that, again, just my opinion. And I really, really enjoyed Breach Executable, which is the open event on Nessus that you do. I enjoyed that. I really like that. I still think that's the best loot farm in the entire game right now. I like that. I like, to an extent, the idea behind Enigma Protocol. The Battlegrounds are fine. I can't say I'm rearing to play 2 of them ever again, but that third one, I think it's going to be awesome as a GM. That's going to be really cool to see as a GM. I can't wait for the challenge that boss room is going to bring. And then you have the exotic mission, which just is kind of bumming me out. It was cool last week. I like it, but now that I've run this mission like 6 times across 2 weeks, man, I might have to knock it down a peg from what Fox and I ranked it last week. This is just not a super engaging mission. Again, like, the dialogue is cool if you're paying attention to it, if you're picking up on the little things like the twisted experiments that Maya did on Chiomas throughout the different realities that she's gotten to. And basically she kills a Chioma robot or a Chioma exomind because it's too sympathetic. It's got too much emotion. Like, that's kind of fucked up. This is one of the most fucked up things we've ever heard in Destiny, is what Maya has done to Chioma in all these timelines, and that there are Mayas and Chiomas hiding within the VexNet from the Prime Maya Sundaresh. That's the crazy thing. Like, there are actually some of these copies hiding because she's so psychotic. But amidst all that, we have a really lackluster season that is 18 weeks long, mind you. It's not the normal 12 or 13. It is 18 weeks long, at least. We still have another month and some change left on this season. Along with 2 back-to-back weeks of Iron Banner starting on Tuesday. Can't wait for that.
I can't believe they're doing Iron Banner the week of during the, I don't know.
I can. Because they have nowhere else to put it. They haven't done it in like 3 months. They had to do it somewhere. Yeah. The perfect time to do it probably would have, I mean, they don't like having that. They can't have that overlap with things like Solstice either, which is a problem. It's been very poorly executed, and this is why they're not going to do double weeks anymore going forward. But then you have something that I was not planning to address on this show tonight, but you have general player sentiment is not great. You have the firings at Bungie. 40% of the staff has been laid off or reassigned to another studio underneath Sony since beginning of November of last year. And now we have all but confirmed Destiny Rising exists from NetEase and Bungie.
I heard.
To be super clear, I was adamant we were not talking about this, and then Jeff Grubb had to go and confirm its existence while I was at Sam's the other night, and I was so mad about it that I was like, God damn it, we have to actually talk about this now. So the long and the short of it is, it's going to be a hero shooter of some kind, and which kind of lines up with what we heard about the NetEase game years and years ago. But that Bungie themselves is not directly making it. NetEase is. Bungie is just kind of overseeing it. In a way similar to Diablo Immortal from Blizzard, although Blizzard was much more involved in that from what I understand. It sounds like everybody learned a lesson from that debacle. This, and I mean, we there are rumors that this could be announced as early as this coming Tuesday. I don't think that's going to happen now that we don't have a live stream happening for the 10th anniversary of the franchise. What the fuck? Like, I'm at a loss here for words because I'm so frustrated. Like, I was saying this earlier to some folks in Discord. Like, you are absolutely right to stay optimistic about this game. I'm still very excited for what's going to come in Revenant and in whatever the Heresy, whatever it's called, for the Eris season and the Dreadnought returning. Like, I'm here for that stuff. I'm here for new dungeons. It's just, I can't see this being the game I play all the time anymore, and that's okay. This season has rapidly taken my attention away, especially when you consider there are other multiplayer things that I think are frankly more fun right now, that are doing new things that I haven't really, like, I barely have played Fortnite this year. And I have really, really enjoyed the Marvel stuff this season so far. I'm having a blast over there. And part of that's because I'm playing as Marvel characters. Like, a Destiny mobile game could be good. It could be. It's NetEase, so it's going to be microtransaction to all hell. I want you to be aware of that. But, like, Diablo Immortal, while being microtransaction to all hell, is actually, like, from what I've heard, a kind of a fun game. Like, I'm interested to see what they do here. I'm not, like, I don't want to be doom and gloom and be like, oh my god, a mobile game's the end of things. I like mobile games, okay? I like games where I can sit at my desk and play something for a half hour at my lunch break. I like something I can play on a plane, or I can play in the back of an Uber, or something like that. I like things like that, because I don't like to travel with my consoles. I don't like to even travel with my Switch if I can help it. Like, if I had a Steam Deck, probably different. I'll just be upfront. But I'm interested to see how this is. If it's a game like that, I can also probably play it on my Mac because of the App Store, but that's neither here nor there. Of all the games that got, and we know why this one is going to stay, because it's a mobile game and it's going to make money. This is probably not a game being aimed at the North American audience. This is aimed at growing the game in Asia and at getting the gacha players in Asia. That's what this is aimed at.
How much
Diablo
money do you
Immortal,
think?
for all we criticized it, was extremely profitable from day one.
How much money do you think you get to spend for a $5 silly summer Queen Mara character for your gacha?
Oh my god,
game?
dude! I don't even know. Like, I'm nauseated thinking about what they can charge for with some of the games that I've seen, and like, until we know what it's going to be, what type of shooter it's going to be, what kind of game it's going to be. Like, I'm interested to see how it grows the universe. I personally am not going to hold high hopes for a mobile game, but this is what caused, I think, the doom and gloom comment earlier from Titan. And I'm not putting Titan on blast. Titan knows I'm not like that. I'm not calling him out intentionally, but he was talking about the general doom and gloom of, just the Destiny community in general, which I do think that we have a tendency to overreact as a community. This one, I feel like I've been pretty measured in my disappointment, though. Like, I definitely did not understand the people who were doom and gloom 5 days after the final shape came out. Just like with Lightfall, I was willing to give it plenty of time before I was like, yeah, this could have been done better. That's kind of how I've tried to be with this season too. Like, as disappointed as I was in the narrative, I thought everything else hit. Like, the weapons have been great. I've really enjoyed this weapon suite. I love the design. I like the weapons. I kind of like the armor design. I like all the stuff in the season pass. Like, I like where the storyline is going now. I just think we've taken way too fucking long to get there. Like, now we have 1 week left to cram the end of this horror story in. Okay. Like, what? It's a joke. And then to add to my frustration, and I think this is why the frustration kind of boiled over today. The TWAB today, cheers to 10 years and beyond. Oh boy, Corey. We're going to read this in its entirety.
Josh, is there a big new expansion coming?
Probably not.
Is there a new subclass coming?
Probably not.
Is there a celebratory raid coming, Josh?
No.
What's coming, Josh? Something big, right?
Next Monday, September 9th, 2024, is the 10th anniversary of Destiny as a franchise. While we could drop a 20,000 word twid to opine about the last 10 years, we're planning to keep our anniversary fun and light. We'll have a small in-game celebration for you all next week, along with some beautiful art the team has made throughout the years. There will be some legendary armor freebies, a fun title to earn, Bungie rewards, and more. Check back Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time for blog coverage. At the same time next week, we're also planning to start our journey into Destiny 2, codename Frontiers. At 8 a.m. Pacific, we will release a short Dev Insight blog article.
Yeah.
Discussing our goals for the future of Destiny. Destiny 2 game director Tyson Green and Destiny 2 narrative director Allison Lures will be guiding the conversation. Where have we been?
No.
Where are we now? And where do we want to go? Most importantly, how are we going to get there? So I'm glad that we're getting something. To be completely honest, I'm really glad that we're getting some sort of roadmap, but it as a blog probably is not the way to communicate that. Let me finish all of this, and we'll have a nice little discussion here. We want to be clear about our commitment to ongoing communication with you. This marks the beginning of regular updates from the development team about what's next for Destiny 2, including details about its systems and future plans. While the updates may be a bit rough around the edges as they are early in the development process, we're excited about sharing our goals and progress with you. There are quite a few topics on the communication roadmap to tackle, so this will be the start of a conversation. Our main goal is to provide bite-sized, direct-to-the-point articles over the next few months rather than mega blogs where it's too easy to get mired in the details. While we'd love to promise a weekly cadence, we're taking the time to cook your meals appropriately. Our articles are never early, nor are they late. They'll arrive precisely when they mean to. Many thanks to all who've joined us on the 10-year journey. We've said a few times that we're just getting started, and it's still very much true. The Light and Dark saga may have ended, but the future of Destiny is still unfolding before us. The universe is big, bright, and full of wonder, and we're looking forward to exploring it and hope to see you join us Starside as we approach new frontiers. All right. I think the problem here is less of I respect the decision not to have giant blogs. I do think those are really hard for us to cover. Those are really hard. Like you guys have heard me when we tried to break down the subclasses and changes to subclasses and prismatic and changes to weapons and like how it always goes leading into an expansion or into a season. I end up getting my throat completely dry by the end of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk for 2 days afterwards. I think the problem is less of that and the fact that we know why you don't want to be on camera right now. But it really looks like you're running and hiding. And I wonder if this is more of a Sony mandate to get the hell off camera until you've got something positive to say.
Yeah.
But it also very much feels like the next time they go on camera, they want it to be the marathon team. Which that's its own saga that's unfolding. This, I find it really hard to believe that they would announce a new game in a blog post, but I've been wrong before, and Bungie has certainly announced other things. It also feels like if you're wondering, man, this 10th anniversary celebration doesn't feel like much of one, you would be right. I will maintain to my dying days in this game that Into the Light was meant to be the 10th anniversary celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing back all these classic weapons and stuff. Like, I maintain that's when that was supposed to happen. And, well, it's not.
Yeah.
I believe that was truly supposed to be part of a 10th anniversary celebration, and then they had to, pull the trigger and get it out early, and that was, something they could move up and just force out.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, kudos, because Into the Light fucking rocked.
Yeah,
but the return of things
really
like good. Mountaintop, Luna's Howl, Blast Furnace, things like that. Edge Transit really felt like that was supposed to be, something for an anniversary celebration.
Yeah, like a raid boss gauntlet. I
feel like Pantheon specifically was supposed to come out with this.
Yeah.
I think Pantheon came in incredibly hot.
You know what sucks too is that I wish they would have just called Into the Light their anniversary celebration. They should have just been like, you know what? Look, we know our 10th anniversary is in September, but this year is the 10th anniversary. And since we had to delay the final shape and the season's extra long, we're doing our celebration now before the end of the saga, right? Like,
I
I
would have
wish
been
they would have
okay with
just,
that.
I
I
wish they would have
really
just
wish
done
they would
that.
have just sucked it up and done it.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. I mean, this is just like 10 years of one game is a huge deal. And this is like,
This is one of a handful of major AAA games to ever do this. Like it's like this, World of Warcraft, EverQuest,
Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy 14, Elder Scrolls Online is hitting it this year.
Yeah. Like,
I don't even think Final Fantasy 14's been going for 10 years.
it is. This is the 10th year.
Oh, well, I guess I was thinking Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
But the point is, very few games have a 10-year life cycle of continually delivering new content.
Yeah.
There's a reason
Borderlands
why
2.
God, there is a reason why this is the archetype for every game as a service that comes.
Mm-hmm.
Is because Destiny is really the only one that's ever gotten it right.
And
I think that's why so many of us are attached to it. No game quite does what Destiny does.
yeah.
And that,
I mean, remember when the first division was coming out, and we thought,
yep.
oh, this might actually be the first true competitor to Destiny, and then like we
Nope.
realized, oh, I guess we don't really want a military shooter where you can't jump or do superpowers to be a game as a service, right? And,
no. And it's like, it's frustrating, right? Because like we look at this and we're like, damn, we love this universe so fucking much.
mm-hmm.
I love the gameplay so much. I love the characters. I love the story. I love the lore. I love the loot. I just don't love how all that's delivered a lot of the time. And it's gotten more and more frustrating because like I understand people are like, oh, we need to get silver in the battle pass. I'm like, no, you don't. Yes, we're paying the same amount that Fortnite does, but you're not just getting cosmetics, you're getting access to all that seasonal content. You're getting access to a story, you're getting access to the weapon suite and all this and that. Like you are getting access to stuff. Now, do I think that the dungeons should be included in that? Hell yeah, I do. I think the dungeon key is fucking stupid. You know, you buy the expansion, the dungeon should come with it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Same with both the raids.
Yeah,
that should all come there. I don't like the nickel and diming of the player base, and I've been open about that for years, but I have a problem when it feels like more care and more hype is put into crossover events with things like Mass Effect and The Witcher and the PlayStation All-Stars and Dungeons and Dragons than it does your own 10th anniversary celebration. We are 4 days away at the time of this recording, and nothing. Like, not even a tease. Like, everything we know has been data mined. And we were like, surely that's not it.
Yeah, well, very clearly feels like this is
pretty clearly that's about it.
Unless they're just going to surprise everyone.
I would be the most shocked I have ever been in the history of Bungie as a company if they come out and actually have like some new mode for us to play or something like that. Because let me tell you something. I've seen the triumphs for the seal, and it's a testament to Destiny, all right. Let me tell you, it's a fucking grind.
Shocker.
I'm happy in a way because I feel like this is a great cap on my time of being like, I'm playing Destiny like 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
This season has been really detoxing for me, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that to be negative about the game. Like, there are still plenty of things I'm looking forward to this year. I want to see what the reprised raid is going to be, although I know I'm probably going to be upset about it. I want to play the 2 new dungeons. I want to see where the story goes in Revenant and in Heresy. And I really, really, really want to see what Frontiers is. I'm excited to hear about that. I just wish it wasn't in a blog post.
Right.
I want to see concept art for it. I want to hear directly from you guys what's a concept of what the new UI might look like. Right. You know, if we're really going to leave the system and venture to new systems, I want to see what your idea for that is. And I understand that, we're going to roll it out shortly. Drip feeding this, just like we get drip fed content in game, is not a viable strategy anymore to me. Like, we deserve to have clarification. And I truly, and I'm doing all this complaining in the hopes that in 5 days, a lot of my complaints are addressed. I would love to hear what the plan is going to be for expansions and episodes going forward. I think that is the number one thing we have to be told. Like, what size of an expansion should we be willing to expect? Should I expect something that is Shadowkeep sized or something that's Witch Queen sized? Should we expect new subclasses or not? For the record, I am not expecting a new subclass anytime soon. Prismatic is more than enough, I think. I think maybe adding some stuff to like Prismatic or to the other classes would be about the only thing I could see happening. Like, what are you gonna do there? What are we doing in terms of a raid next year? Or are we still gonna get a reprised raid this year at some point? Are we gonna start getting a raid like around Christmas time and one in the summer if the release dates are shifting to summer, or what? Like, how is this gonna go? Are these next 2 episodes maybe gonna be shorter? Are they gonna be longer? Like, how's that gonna go? There's questions to be answered, and I feel like we're the ones spending money. We kind of need to know at this point. And like, I know that no other live game really goes through this because no other live game puts out content the way Destiny does. On like, yes, there's seasons, but we're not like, oh, we need to have a roadmap in these other games because it's not as up and down as it is here. Like, you just kind of know what to expect in those games. And here, like, we never know because things are shifting and people are getting laid off and this and that. And like, they're trying to push a new game right now. Like, does that mean is Destiny going to get pushed to the side for Marathon? Like, sure feels like next year is going to be the Marathon year because they want to force it out. And if it doesn't come out next year, let me tell you, we're going to have another year of probably lackluster Destiny stuff in 2026. So, because they want to give it a shine. They want their new toy to have shine. And who knows what PlayStation is mandating now after the flop of Concord.
Oh my God, what a disaster.
What an absolute disaster. One of the biggest first-party flops I can ever remember. I mean, and it's not even that the game was bad.
No.
The game wasn't bad from everything I've heard. And I've talked to people who played it. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have an audience. I talked to people at
PAX who were playing it.
Yep.
They brought their PS5 so they could try it out.
Which is wild because that game just did not have players. When your Steam total in history is smaller than Lord of the Rings Gollum, something is wrong. That was clearly a game that was destined to be free to play. But anyways, I say all that to say I was already concerned about Marathon. I'm really worried about Marathon now.
Yeah.
I don't think that
after Concord, like everything I heard about Concord, I was like, okay, it can't be that bad. It's a Sony first party game. There's going to be an audience, right? Right?
Yep.
Right?
That's what I thought too.
What was the last big multiplayer failure? Was it like Battleborn, Lawbreakers? Yes. Like, were those like the last 2?
Battleborn did better and lasted longer than Concord. And that was before. Now, granted, that was before everything was oversaturated. But even then, we were like, why would we play this?
Yeah.
Why on earth would we play this over like Overwatch?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, even if you want to relaunch this as free to play, you still have Marvel Rivals on the horizon. You still have Overwatch out there. There's another arena game I'm forgetting about, I'm sure.
Deadlocked.
Deadlock is like an arena shooter meets a MOBA.
Yeah.
Well, that's in early access, and that's going to stay in early access because it's Valve.
Valorant's on consoles now. Like,
Valorant is on consoles now. Like, there's just not an audience for this. Like that. We only have time to play a finite amount of games, especially multiplayer only titles.
And like with these live service games now too, it's like everybody's found their live service game at this point. Like, like people don't want to start searching for other games, or they have I feel like somebody picks their live service game and then something like Fortnite, right? Where like, oh, I'm tired of this one, so let's go play this one, right? That like people have 1 or 2 live service games they've found, and that's it.
You don't have time for anything else.
No. Especially with all these single player games coming out.
Destiny, and I alternate between like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and maybe there's room for me to try something else out.
Yeah,
and that's about it. Like, the reason I'm playing a lot of Fortnite right now is because I don't like the Call of Duty season. But guess what? I played the Black Ops beta this past weekend, and it fucking rocked. I'm going to be playing a lot of Black Ops when the end of October rolls around. Diablo 4's expansion, Vessel of Hatred, is coming. I'm going to be playing a lot of that. Like, I have a finite amount of time for things that I feel like are wasting my time and being disrespectful of my time and my money. And I don't think Destiny is at that point yet. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be a doom and gloom. I don't want to say it's ever going to get to that point. I'm always going to believe the best. I'm always going to hope for the best. I don't know if I've ever gotten it across to you guys in 4 years how much I really love Bungie as a studio. Bungie is my all-time favorite studio. I worshipped the ground that this studio was built on, basically. from the time I was like 11 until last year. Like, and then that faith was shattered, essentially, right? And then not only was it shattered, they then backed up and ran over the pieces of that this summer as I was like, hey, look at this little collage that we all made together. And it was titled The Final Shape. And then they're like, oh, that's nice. And then backed over it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was driven by Pete Parsons in a classic bus. But my point is, I guess, like, I'm always gonna stay optimistic for the future of Destiny. This blog post does not inspire confidence right now. Like, if you are not willing to address this shit on camera, that tells me that either the worst of this has not in fact passed, that you are in deep shit and you know it, or Sony is mandating you do it this way to save some face, or all of the above. I honestly am going for all of the above. I am very concerned about Marathon's future. This is why I was very skeptical to believe the Destiny Rising rumors, and the only reason I'm even choosing to entertain it is because Jeff Grubb has talked about it, has tweeted about it, talked about it on Games Mess, and in terms of a leak, if Jeff Grubb is talking about it, we can take that it's probably happening. Just realistically, there are maybe 3 or 4 people in the world that I would trust who say they have information from inside Bungie. And it's Jeff, Rebecca Valentine, Jason Schreier, and like twice a year, Paul Tassi.
Twice a year.
Like,
oh my
that's
God,
about all I would believe if people say that they have sources inside Bungie.
Speaking of
because
Paul
they've all proven at some point or another to be credible and actually have sources inside Bungie.
Yeah. Speaking of Paul Tassi, just a side tangent real quick. Did you see his beef with Marty O'Donnell, apparently?
No, but Marty O'Donnell is a piece of shit, so I'm not surprised.
Oh my God. It's hilarious. Anyways, just if you're interested, go look it up. It's funny.
God, dude, I saw he tried painting because there was new allegations against Marty O'Donnell this week. Big surprise. Who said that Bungie was better when it was a boys' club, and one of the former lead designers on the Halo series was like, yeah, he tried to assault me during a company Halloween party, and I picked up a knife and threatened him with it. And for the record, Lorraine is one of the most celebrated video game artists maybe ever. She is the reason that Master Chief and the Halo worlds look the way that they do. And Marty tried painting her as a nobody, so that was fun. That happened this past week.
God, is this just something that white guys do when they get old? Because I don't want to be that
dude person. I don't know, but like no man over the age of 45 should be allowed to run a Discord server. It's clearly becoming a problem.
Jesus.
Because he was saying all this shit in a Discord that he has, and I'm just like, anyways, that's the exact inverse of the Greg Miller never meet your heroes if it's Marty O'Donnell.
Yeah, you can listen to the music while you play Halo, and
listen to the music and remember that Michael Salvatore did a lot of it too.
Yeah,
who also got fired from Bungie.
Yeah,
for less egregious things. Anyways, I say all this to say that. Yes, there is a lot of doom and gloom. No, I'm not super optimistic about what Monday is going to bring. As of right now, I'm not planning to do a pod of any kind on Monday about this. If we do, it'll be like a quick 30-minute thing before we do Xbox Casuals. We'll probably just save it for Thursday, honestly. That's my intent. Because right now, I don't know what you're possibly going to come out and say if you say you basically want to drip feed us updates. So... yeah. Surprise. I don't have anything else to say without talking in circles about this. I just think this is a horrible, horrible idea and a horrible rollout.
It's a big L.
It's a big L. It's a big fat L.
I mean, like, I understand why it's a big L right now, but also like it's a big L. So,
and like, here's the fun part about doing a podcast, right? In 5 days, we could be eating our words.
Yeah.
Like,
we could make one of those this episode aged poorly jokes, or gracefully.
I would love to be able to come out and say I had a freezing cold take at 10 a.m. Central Time on Monday. I would love to be able to come out at 10:05 and say I was wrong about everything. I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know I'll own it. If I was wrong, I'll fucking own it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not super optimistic. There's nothing about this that's made me optimistic. Nothing I've seen, that everybody has seen the leak at this point about the 10th anniversary. Nothing out of that has made me particularly optimistic for this celebration, and this should be a big deal. And instead, it's really somber because like 40% of the people who worked on this game are no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people responsible for the game that we love have either been fired or have moved on to Marathon, and God knows what state that game is going to be in if it takes any longer to come out. Like, everything that we've heard says that game probably should be a 2026 release, and yet it's going to probably get shoved out the door before it's ready next year because Bungie leadership wants to bounce, and which we've known that for a while. And Sony really, really would like to get another money farm going. At this point, this is such a poor investment on Sony's part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to overstate. And I've seen people be like, well, how on earth, Concord was supported by Bungie. Like, oh, no wonder it flopped. Like, no. Last of Us Factions probably would have done better. It would not have sustained a player base, though.
Mm-hmm.
For the exact same problem.
Yep.
Like, as a multiplayer mode tacked on to like Last of Us 2 remastered or Last of Us 3, sure, go crazy, give me factions in that. I'm more than happy to say, yeah, you should do that. We need to get back to I can't believe I'm saying this, we need to get back to putting multiplayer modes in single player games. You have a better chance at getting people to play that than to, and if they don't, then hey, it's no sweat off your back, right? But it's like, Jesus Christ, like trying to make everything a live service or, a free-to-play game is just a disaster. Like, this is a company that we have seen put out Helldivers 2, The Final Shape, Concord, and now Astrobot is getting rave reviews too. That's 3 games scoring above a 90 on Metacritic this year. That's great by any metric, and yet, like, one of them was a lightning in a bottle, one of them was a prayer that was answered, and then, well, there's Astrobot. So, like, which we knew Team Asobi was going to do a good job anyways.
Yeah. Oh, I played that at PAX also, by the way.
I'm at such a fucking loss. And I'm going to be done. I promise I'm done after saying this. Like, I'm at a loss on what to think. I guess, like, we'll see what Monday morning brings, but it's not super inspiring to me that we're getting blog posts. Like, I feel like there should be a big celebration in game. And if you're not going to do it in game and you don't want to do it right now because, we've got a story we're telling, that's fine. Drop it with the next episode or something. Or maybe you should have given us this instead of Solstice. I would have taken that too. I don't know. Maybe we should have tried dropping all of the story beats for Act 3 at one time so the rest of it could be a celebration of the 10th anniversary. I just feel like that should be such a bigger deal than they're making it. And instead, it's going to be like, oh, hey, here's a couple things you can pay money for. Like, I don't know. Any final thoughts before we move on to the few other things that we have here tonight?
Not about this. It's just a big L, and like I said earlier, I wish they would have just promoted the Into the Light as their 20th earlier this year instead of just
that's how I'm choosing to just view it at this point.
Yep. I mean, it just feels like a wet fart in the wind at this point.
But you know what's not, and something that we've been begging for a long time, and they're finally listening. Improving the raid and dungeon rotator.
What?
Yep. We've heard your feedback around how frustrating it can be to earn some of the rewards when a raid or dungeon is not the one featured in the weekly rotation, and that's the reason why we are making some changes when Revenant launches on October 8th. At that time, Warlord's Ruin will enter the rotator queue, so there will be 8 raids and 8 dungeons in total, so it's fitting that then we double the number of featured rotator activities available every week. This way, the max time that can pass between a specific raid or dungeon will be 4 weeks. On the week of October 8th, the activities in the rotator will be Last Wish and Vow to Disciple for raids, and dungeons will be Shattered Throne and Duality. So, yeah, that ought to be interesting. So, you can build a calendar, they say. Anyways. Yeah, cool. Wish we would have had this like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We kind of said when you started giving us 2 dungeons and 2 raids a year, this was going to need to be done. This probably should have gone into effect post King's Fall, but better late than never.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I don't have anything else to say. Cool.
I
I'm
don't
here
either.
for it. I'm happy for it. But yeah.
Congratulations.
There was a very funny glitch with Sword Week that's going on this week. 1K Voices has unlimited ammo as well.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So that's become a terror in Gambit apparently overnight. Not like I was playing Gambit to begin with, but yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Um and then final thing that we have in the TWAB this week is about Choir of One and its ammo reserves. Choir of One has 2 inventory bugs we're looking to fix when Revenant launches. Sometimes you can bypass the cap of inventory because of a rare race condition with the perk that's supposed to cap how much ammo you have, but with reserve mods, you can spawn with more than the perk cap limit, and it doesn't always catch and remove the bonus ammo. And it wasn't supposed to get the inventory buff that other special weapons got in 8.0.5, as that increase was already implemented in the weapon by design. So for the actual changes, they are not looking to make the weapon irrelevant in endgame content, but ammo will be adjusted around 200 base and 300 with reserve, down from 250 and 375 respectively. The damage the weapon puts out is pretty crazy, and the ammo is supposed to be a limiting factor. So if we were to keep the ammo where it's at now, the damage would need to come down quite a bit to compensate. We bounced the weapon at the 200 to 250 ammo level and felt it was already strong, but with triple reserves letting you get to around 300, that was a treat. You could use the hipfire mode more freely. As for the extra damage with Divinity, on closer inspection, it's discovered the actual issues with the point blank version of the projectile. The impact damage done if the projectile is not split before it hits a target is being affected by extraneous damage scaler and dealing approximately 250% more damage than it should. So we'll be fixing that also in Revenant. So, yeah, Choir of One, great, stupendously fun weapon to use. Joe and I were flying through with it and swords when we did the exotic mission for this week. A lot of fun, really enjoyed it. But yeah, this thing hits like a fucking Mack truck. Like the Tormentor was just irrelevant against us. Same with the well, we switched to heavy weapons for the boss, but yeah, we shredded the boss too. Got it down to like an eighth of its health before it teleported away on us. You can brute force your way past the health gate, which is really funny for me. It does make it a little more chaotic, but I liked it. So, yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot here. I think the biggest part of the exotic mission this week was the revelations about what Maya's been doing to Chioma throughout all these realities, finding all these alternate Chiomas and stuff, trying to find her Chioma back in the Golden Age. And yeah, I suspect there's a couple more revelations on that front that we're gonna get in the final week of the story. This is kind of a bummer that this is how it's going out.
Yeah, this feels kind of the story
It
feels
feels
very parallel to Osiris and Saints.
well. That's the whole
When we
point.
brought Saint, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
that's the
know,
whole
but
point.
I
Is that we did
that was the twist I wasn't expecting, I guess.
Yeah, Osiris. He actually directly addresses that mission in some dialogue after the
Hmm.
mission this week, where he's like, I these expeditions against Maya have given me a glimpse of what could have happened to me had you and I not found Saint. That I would have been consumed by this as well. I would have been
Hmm.
consumed by that zealotry. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do to find Saint.
Hmm.
And I think that's a very interesting contrast. We've seen this with certain characters before. We've seen it. Like, what was Keitel? Keitel was willing to set aside pride and ally with the Vanguard in order to save her people. Mithrax, much of the same, rather than bend the knee to Aramis and the Witness. Respectfully. And I like this because we always see parallels. We talk about one of the most powerful moments in Destiny is when Zavala picks up Crow after the assassination attempt, and he extends the hand out and picks him up in a direct reversal of the execution of Cade 6. And two of the most powerful moments in the whole franchise are those moments, and you can't help but feel like we're getting moments that could be so powerful if they were just playing out on screen and we weren't just getting them as audio logs. Like, I like the audio logs. I understand why we get them. It's a lot cheaper to deliver the story that way. And granted, I'll take that over nothing. But
Mm-hmm.
I really, really wish there was a way that we could get cutscenes or get something that was sketched out to tell us some of this, to like really drive it home to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is going to go unnoticed by so many. And that's a shame, because this is one of the most compelling stories they have told in some time, seasonally. Like, I know I just bashed the seasonal story, but like these audio logs we're getting in this exotic mission are so raw and honestly horrifying. Like Destiny's kind of veered into like space horror with some of this, especially when you get into Maya's workshop there right before the fight, but right before the final boss each week.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's horrifying. It's implied that all the exo bodies and Vex bodies that are stacked up around there are dead Chiomas that have been
Yeah.
experimented on.
Yeah. Isn't that?
It's horrifying.
It's terrifying.
And I love that. I've talked about it before. I'm a huge fan of Alien. Huge fan of Alien. And this is giving me like Wayland Yutani vibes here. And I love that. Like Ishtar Collective is kind of Destiny's answer to the Wayland Yutani Corporation. And the more that we find out, we're like, oh my God, like between them and Bray Exoscience, like, holy shit, there was some horrifying stuff going on behind the scenes that really isn't emphasized unless you're reading the lore and listening to all the audio messages you can find and stuff. And I was like, oh God, like some of us have known that like Clovis Bray and, Maya Sundaresh were kind of monsters for a while, but we didn't know the extent of Maya's insanity.
Yeah.
And that's been laid out so clearly, and it's just like it bothers me because it's been laid out for us pretty clearly since we did the veil containment missions last year. And I like those. I like the story that's told in those, and that was clearly a jumping off point for this. I just feel like we're gonna kind of we'll see what next week brings with the final week of the story, but I'm not holding out huge hopes because I feel like this is a jumping off point for a future expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great because we need a Vex expansion so badly. We've never gotten a Vex expansion. And the seasons for the Vex have been, with the exception of Splicer, I would say very underwhelming. But Splicer is a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned in terms of seasonal storytelling. And this is very much continuing on that. I joke that it's Undying 2.0. It's really continuing on the story from Splicer and from Veil Containment, if anything. But we're long overdue to get the Vex as an actual threat in an expansion, and not just like, oh, here's the Garden of Salvation raid with the Vex. Oh, here's the Glassway strike, and you fight Vex only for like the last 20 minutes or 2 minutes of it. We've gotten one dungeon with them in it, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think through my Rolodex really quickly of dungeons. I think we've had only one dungeon, and that was Spire. So, like, what's the end game here with the Vex? Like, the Vex are still the most. They're the only real like giant mystery left out there. And I was really hoping that this would shed some light on it, because Fox and I talked about this last week. We're so fucking tired of the Hive and Taken. I feel like we
Yeah.
really like drained that well, and like Zivu Arath, I kind of always felt like would be saved for an expansion, but man, I don't know if I want another Hive based expansion.
Not
I
yet,
just
at
want to
least.
be done with her and Savathun. I feel like they probably need to be in a raid together, but I need to get. I want them out of the story. Like we've kind of run the well dry on all of them.
Yeah. It's time, right? I mean,
And that's okay. That's okay. And that's okay. It's just I worry that there's nothing to really replace them.
yeah.
Is the problem. Like the Hive and the Taken really are kind of, until we got the Dread, really were like the central factions for the Witness's forces.
Right. Yeah.
So
And like you said, there's nobody really big enough to replace them, right? Like
yeah,
my Sundaresh is not big enough to replace them.
it feels like
Fickroll is not.
Urix has some of the Dread under her command. We know that. Or under their command. I don't know if Urix is a he or she off the top of my head. Urix, which is one of the giant scions,
Mm-hmm.
was the one behind the assassination attempt on Zavala back in Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like Urix is going to be one of the major forces that we fight in whatever the Year of Frontiers storytelling is. It feels like Urix, Aramis, Aramis is probably showing up in this next season, if we go by the artwork that we saw at the end of the final shape.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, I want to see what Maya's probably going to continue to be a thorn, I would say. Like, we can't wrap this up in 1 week, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love for them to pull a plot twist on us, and oh hey, we found and rescued Prime Chioma, and Prime Chioma comes to chill with us, like in the tower. That would be cool. Or comes to chill on Niamuna while searching for a way to, cure Maya's psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
We could have had such a great season. I feel like where like Asher could have been brought back into it since he's in the Vex network. We could have had him and Failsafe working together. Why is Mithrax not a part of this Splicer gauntlet? There's so many questions I have, and I know that the ultimate answer is just the amount of characters you can have in a story, right?
Right.
But it almost makes me feel like if you're gonna face off against Maya Sundaresh, that probably should have been an expansion, not a season.
Right.
And I think that might be my biggest issue when I think about all that is I like where the story is going now, but I really would love to see this play out on screen and have a face off against Maya. Like, I think the idea of Maya being the conductor of a Vex symphony, getting her own collective under her, control is fascinating. I love the idea that she can control Exos too, because Exos, of course, created from Vex fluid. This is kind of like our de facto lore corner for this week, for the record.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I just wish it was being explored more upfront on screen. I want to see cutscenes. I want to see, even if they're the sketched ones. I think this is perfect for the sketched ones.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of that and less. Like, the audio logs should be supplemental. They should not be the main form of delivering story content. Right. When it's something as important, as impactful as someone we've heard about in the lore for years, since the very beginnings of Destiny, we've heard about Maya and the Ishtar Collective. We've heard about Chioma for a long time. Like, I want to see this shit on screen.
Yeah.
And, for better or worse, we haven't gotten it. And so I'm hoping that they pull one more surprise on me, because I was a big fan of the first week of this exact mission. I don't like that the second week is the exact same mission again. That really bummed me out. I was hoping another pathway would open, but nope, it's still the same long trek.
Yep.
But again, I have told you guys I'm going to try my absolute best to be optimistic and be hopeful. Not for the 10th anniversary stuff. Fuck that. I'm not optimistic about that at all. I'm going to continue to try and be optimistic about future content, though. I'm excited to play the content I paid for. Beyond that, I really hope that the details they give us about Frontiers over the next few months, and I do hope it's over the next several months, that they hold to this. They say it's not weekly. I'm expecting something at least monthly then. Monthly updates. Maybe that's too optimistic. I'm expecting a monthly update, and I hope they save them for those slow weeks when we don't have anything else to talk about.
Yeah.
Don't just drop it all at once. I'm hoping that we get these regular updates, and hey, who knows? These blog posts could be a great idea. I really hate that Joe stepped down right as he was starting to do streams and do personal videos. Like, I think back to it, and it's something that we never see from game directors, how he was just so open after all the criticism that they got last September or last August with the reveal and with the way that the year of Lightfall had gone and everything else. And he just off the cuff talked for like 15-20 minutes to the community.
Yeah.
And
I mean, remember that weird Twitter video he put up that was just kind of like random, right?
Well, that's what I'm talking. That's the specific video I'm talking about.
Okay.
Where he just sat down with his notepad and talked, and apparently that's how the PvP team found out they were making 3 new maps, and they had to be delivered by May. So, and that led to the question of, well, if it's that easy, then why didn't we get maps all this time? That's a whole other can of worms, right? Like,
we don't need to
shouldn't
open
have taken your game director just saying this.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. I'm hoping for the best on Monday. That just to kind of close this episode out, I'm hoping for the best on Monday. I'm keeping I said this earlier with this blog post. This is the ultimate check your expectations at the door moment. And that's what I'm going to do. If it's anything beyond a quick little blog post, maybe confirming our long-held theories about Frontiers, maybe some UI changes, maybe an announcement for what we could expect for
a vague storyline, then fine.
Uh-huh.
I'm okay with that. If you need to take extra time, and I want to be really clear to the Bungie team, if you've got to take extra time to make this the best it can, because I think we've seen that when you give them a year and a half to cook on these expansions, they cook.
Uh-huh.
Like, give them the time that they need. Be prepared to announce more seasons.
Uh-huh.
This is part of the problem, I think, with tying the seasons to what's happening in game. Like, yes, it's very cool, and I understand that it helps lead in, but damn, sometimes you need like that extra 3 months, and you're not
Right.
always going to have it into the light to fall back on.
Right.
Which we've all made the argument that came too late.
Yeah.
That should have been something we had like 5-6 weeks earlier, probably.
Yeah.
But like, it's no use complaining about it now. Like, it's over and done with. It was an awesome experience. Like, man, we had a really good run there for a while, and Bungie executives set out all these rakes for themselves to step on, and here you go. They stepped on the very first one they could find.
Right.
So, I'm hopeful for the future of the game. I'm optimistic about the future of the game, even though I may not sound like it. I do love this franchise. I love this game. I love the people who
I
make
mean,
it.
I
I
think
just don't
that's
love
I
the
think that
people making the decisions.
I mean, I think that's why a lot of people are like bummed out or wondering what's going on or angry, is because we all love this franchise, right? That
Yep.
we're you and I are friends because of this franchise. We've said it 1,000 times, right? Like, there are so
Yep.
many reasons why this franchise is important to both of us for many of the same and different reasons. And I think that's why this is such a bummer, and why it sucks to see the studio go through what they've been going through the last year and a half, right? Like, we love this franchise and we just want more of it in the right ways, and it's just the struggle to deliver is just, I mean, between the layoffs and the leadership, like the director changes and higher ups leaving, and then like leadership changes and more layoffs, like it's a wonder how that studio is functioning and putting content out at all. Like,
Yep.
it's just, it really sucks, because we both love Bungie, we both love Destiny, and we hate seeing the studio and the game go through a period like this, especially after something as awesome as the final shape. And it's just a bummer, man. This is a big bummer.
It's a big bummer, but you know what? I'm gonna continue to keep the faith,
Mm-hmm.
because like you just you nailed it. We love this game. We love this game. We love this franchise. We love the friends we've made. We love the characters. We love the game. There's no game like this. Is what I keep coming back to every time we talk about this. Is there's no game that plays like Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly think it would be easier for some of us to move on. And I don't know if Destiny would have made it 10 years if even one of these other games that tried to emulate it had succeeded on a marginal level.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people tell me over the years, like, oh, go play Warframe. It'll scratch that Destiny itch. Nope. People play The Division. Nope. The Division is fun for about 3 days until you beat the content. And it's tried to be one of those games that tells a continuous story, and you can't when you're tied to a real locale or a real world locale like DC or New York.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny, there's all these chances to expand to new worlds and new destinations, and we get that every expansion. Like,
Right.
I never would have dreamed 10 years ago we were gonna end this storyline by going into the Traveler.
Yeah.
It was always something that we just thought was like nuts. We were like, what is it? And we're like, oh, it's just a machine. Like, no, it's a portal for what it's whatever your imagination dreams.
Yeah.
Basically. And I think that's been the most fantastical part of this journey. And like, this story still surprises me. Like, I didn't think they would take like a space horror route with Maya Sundaresh and Chioma Essie, but here we are.
Dude, we're gonna be vampire hunters in 6 weeks.
We're gonna be potion crafting in 6 weeks, dude. I'm so excited. Oh, excuse me. 33 days we will be potion crafting. My D&D loving heart is so excited for it.
You got your deck building game.
Dude, I have my deck of whispers that sits on my desk. Like, I love when they take chances and do this wacky shit rather than just things I've done 15 times. Like, I've said it and it sounds really stupid. My favorite part of this whole season has been doing the research quests and building my collection of plants and specimens inside the helm. Mm-hmm. I love that. That's a trophy collection I'm going to look at all year, because that's the kind of stuff I've been begging for in this game. So I loved hunting down the stuff on Europa. Like, I like hunting the lucent moths in Savathun's throne world. The traveler statues inside the Pale Heart. I like all that stuff because it's the action figures in Neomuna. Like that stuff is fun to me. I am a classic platformer fan. I love collecting things.
Yeah.
But I like it when I could sit there and look at it and it's visibly changing the look of my game. I think that's so fun and so cool and creative. And it's just, we're kind of in the same old rut that we always are. And like, part of me has given them a pass because, it's the first time they're doing episodes. This just feels like an extra long season at this point. Like, what did we accomplish story-wise that couldn't have still been done in seasons,
Right.
Oh boy, we had 9 weeks of story as opposed to like 7. Oh boy.
Right.
We didn't do anything for at least 4 or 5 of those weeks either, like usual.
Right.
So, I don't know. My complaining is over. I promise. I wanted to end on a semi-positive note of saying that, yes, I am still very excited for stuff. As much as I may have complained about it tonight, I'm still very curious to see what Monday holds.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always be curious to see what they have to announce. It's going to be one of the only times we've heard from Tyson since taking over for Joe Blackburn. Allison's going to be talking. That's always worth listening when Allison wants to talk, especially because so many of the other narrative folks that we love there, including Robert and Hazel, are gone now.
Yeah.
It's basically Allison, Julia, and I don't know who else is still there, truthfully, off the top of my head, but like those two have survived and they're the main narrative directors, and that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. Those two are still there, but now, I'd expect to see less lore tabs. I'd expect to probably see less cutscenes as a result. Yeah. Someone's got to write all that. Yep. So,
yeah. It's
anyways, ending on a semi-positive note. I am excited to see what they reveal on Monday. I was hoping for a live stream. No live stream, but that's okay. I'm excited to get my title. I'm excited to see what they're going to announce for the roadmap. And, maybe we'll get... I don't even want a release date. I don't want them to give me a release date. I want a release window.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd really like is do these blog posts. Give me a trailer. They almost always show up there anyways. Give me a trailer at the Game Awards. Give me a trailer there. Mm-hmm. They promoted the last 4 expansions there. Why not show up there, Or if they're... I would imagine the trailer might be getting held for a PlayStation Presents later this year.
Yeah, well, I mean,
see that happening. If Bungie's, right? if Sony really, and they all but have taken full control of Bungie at this point, then they're probably telling them, "No, you're saving your shit for us."
Mm-hmm.
So,
which makes sense at this point, right? So,
yep.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Hopefully, we're eating our words on Monday, but I'm not optimistic about that. I'm excited though.
I'm going to choose to try and be optimistic about this. I am, because I am curious to see where everything... I'm always going to be interested in the story and in the characters, and that's the crux of it. I want to see what's going to happen to my favorite characters. I want to know how we're going to get there. I'm very curious to see what they do here. So,
yeah. Me too, Josh. Me too.
So if you're listening to this, I'm not being doom and gloom. I'm frustrated, but I'm still so hopeful because I love this game so much and I love this studio so much and I love the people there that are making these experiences that have given me some of my greatest memories, from Halo to Destiny, The Final Shape. I've had so many of my favorite gaming memories have come from this studio. 20 something years of playing these games, man. 21 years this November I've been playing Bungie games. 21 years.
Yep.
So
21 years.
21 years.
Well, Josh, what do you say we get out of here?
Let's go.
Let's go. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. If you want to follow us, Josh, where can we find you?
Twitter, Josh_Finn, 2 N's. Not using it as much these days, but I'm still there.
Still there. Well, Josh, thank you for your time tonight, as always.
Always.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you holding down the fort last week while I was out of town. Everybody,
shout out to our guest last week, Fox, also for joining us.
Yes, shout out to Fox. You can find me at I am Corey in HD on them socials. I don't know. I'll probably just be tweeting out a bunch of pictures from PAX in the next couple weeks because this is my off time. So, except for this show, which I'm very grateful for because my throat hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, 30 interviews and 3 podcasts and a panel. Not.
We will not be doing podcasts before the next PAX.
Yeah. So I mean, we're missing our first episode of Pow Block next week in like almost a year, probably a year, because we're both just dead. So, anyways, nobody cares how dead I am. We just care how alive you are. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.